listening about misinformation and participating in this conference, it looks like we are always in 2017. So nothing changed after years, in a sense that we are always saying, basically, we are looking at the scenario in which we are looking at a fight between fake news and real news, while the scientific perspective is pretty much more complex and, I would say, dominant in this issue. It was pretty nice. I mean, historically speaking, I was in the advisory of the European Commission during the COVID, during the beginning of fake news, no? So at the very beginning, in 2016. And I left the collaboration because they were basically following the journalistic approach to the disinformation. They failed. In June, May 2024, it was nice. It was very nice for us. The Ursula von der Leyen said, "Oh, nice. Pre-banking is pretty much more effective than debunking and fact-checking." See, it was in her speech. And it was nice because pre-banking came from our studies that was funded by the UK government during the IRIS Research Coalition. I was one of the PI, of the principal investigator of this massive research project involving Cambridge University, Harvard, Sapienza. And basically, we were building a pipeline in which we were analyzing the problem and then providing hints to users to avoid threats. That's the way, not going to people saying this is true and this is false. Basically, this is basically competition among narratives. And on this perspective, what I saw is that for 7 years, 8 years, there was a huge gap between the scientific evidence and what the policymaking were doing on the front on the scientific, I mean, scientifically speaking. Now things are a little bit changed. I mean, I'm involved in some of the European panel for the democracy shield, let's say. And actually, the frame is more scientifically driven. How we can approach this problem in a way that we can be, I mean, we are in a geopolitical phase in which we have to wake up. Otherwise, things are gonna be messy, on my perspective. On one side, we have the opportunity, because it's an opportunity to have Trump on the other side of the ocean, because we can wake up and then decide a little bit what we can do and what we can drive in this direction. And I would say that the scientific advisory for the policymaking is one of the main pillars. You know that tomorrow is going to be published one of the trials on artificial intelligence, that China is moving pretty much far than we did with the AI Act. So we are not competing neither on the technological level, neither on the nor on the normative side. So there is something that we are missing always the point. And in this scientific perspective, I mean, the idea of seeing still people saying, "Oh, we are fighting against the Russian propaganda." Of course, there is the Russian propaganda, but if we don't go to the roots of this phenomenon, we are basically running in circle. And what are the roots? What the phenomenon really simply is information overload, that is information overload for social media platform, from social media platform. There is the business model of the social media platform that is pricing entertainment and engagement. The combination of both create a mutual synthesis in which is a feedback loop in which more content, more feedback, more content, more feedback, and the result for our cognitive system is the tendency to seek for the information we like and avoid the information we don't. The result of this is polarization. And I'm saying this since 2016. If you go on PNAS, there is a paper, The Spreading of Misinformation Online, 3,000 citations at the moment, is the paper setting this, that now is the narrative for the European Commission. Finally, we got it. If we want to fight this, we have to make people aware of the process itself. We tend to polarize, and we have to be aware that it is the business model of the social media platform pricing this polarization. And the result of this polarization is not that people are more easily trusting in the Russian propaganda. The very effect is that we are eroding trust in our own institutions. That's the issue. And we have to work in that direction. not still fighting, because even approaching the problem by saying we are good and they are evil is exactly the creation of polarization. And that, to my point, is that we have to be more to exploit this situation, to be more scientifically oriented and create a good, let's say, deal between science and politics, especially in this moment that it is really needed, especially for the phenomenological level. Now consider what is going to happen next when we have the infodemics, no? So overabundance of information that is driven by entertainment social media platform to the level of induced by the large language models. What are the problem of large language models? Don't trust to all this bullshit mumbo jumbo about the general artificial intelligence, the minds. That's all just bullshit for marketing. No, the real point in the AI, large language model, is that we are eroding trust even in the facts. So people tend to exchange, to mess up the way, the shape, the way things is written, and the content. So the reliability of content is mistaken for by statistical linguistic priors. We call this epistemia, that is the disease of the epistemic level. So we are totally losing the grip on what is gonna be true or not, because this business model is overloading information everywhere. And this is gonna be, to me, a very huge problem, because we tend to delegate blindly tasks to large language models, but when we receive the output, we are not able to see if it is true or not, if we are not enough aware on that. I'm seeing a lot of philosophers now presenting a discussion about large language models, transformers, mathematics, everything driven by large language model. The problem is that most of the things are wrong. How we can fight at epistemic level and opinions forming and democracy in this environment we are gonna see in the already is already here at the moment, and it's gonna be worst.